Hello everyone, thanks again for joining me here tonight on the WWE Talk, featuring yours truly, The Punisher. Now, to make a long story short about why my absence was almost a very long one, was because some things have unfortunately came up due to some unexpected events, but hopefully this time we will stay around and stay around for good. So, to do some little catch-up here, the last time we had a show was when Bella wound up quitting the WWE just to prevent Bryan from being stripped of the WWE World Heavyweight Championship and wound up slapping Stephanie McMahon for her arrogant, laughing attitude that she threw right in Bella's face when she quit. So, unfortunately, Bryan wound up later on having to be stripped of the WWE Championship because his health was a lot worse than they expected. So at Money in the Bank, they held two Money in the Bank ladder matches, one for the briefcase for a future title shot, and one for the vacated championship from Daniel Bryan. John Cena wound up winning the vacated championship. Meanwhile, Seth Rollins won the Money in the Bank briefcase match, which was actually a very good decision on their part because since he's won the Money in the Bank, he's turned his whole thing into a big gimmick, and now he's becoming this big main event star, and quite frankly, he's really climbed the ladder ever since the whole Shield dissension. Meanwhile, Roman Reigns has been doing very well in the singles push as well, as he's also getting into the main event picture. Unfortunately, he suffered a very hesitant emergency surgery he had to take, which put him out of action for a couple of months, but he definitely made his return in time for the Royal Rumble, and ever since then he's been on fire. So going back to between John Cena being the champion, that only lasted for a few months because from that point on they wanted to give Brock Lesnar the championship, which was the original plan before Bryan wound up being on the DL list for about a little over 6 months until Bryan announced he was returning at the Royal Rumble, which was a very cool return at the Royal Rumble, which I'll get to in a minute. But let me talk a little bit about the Brock Lesnar versus John Cena. That was one incredible match then to have where Brock Lesnar destroyed John Cena with 16 straight German suplexes and destroyed the guy following an F5 after everything was all said and done. It was a very brutal match, and I give John Cena props, believe it or not, for making it the greatest match between him and Brock for Summerslam. It was a very well-liked match, and it was a very well-liked pay-per-view, despite some things on the show I did not like, which I'll get into that in a second. Greatest main event that they had in a long time for SummerSlam, with Brock being the beast that he was after ending The Undertaker's undefeated streak, which is still sad to say to this day, but it is what it is at this point. But anyway, as far as Bryan's status was concerned, there's a lot of mixed reports going around between him requiring second surgery to not requiring second surgery. It was a big back and forth story. We were getting left and right. And wound up requiring that he needed a second surgery so he can get strength back in his arm. And it was well worth it because even though for a long time the strength wasn't being put into his arm as quickly as they expected to, but he was still able to finally get strength into his arm at some point, which left a lot of us very concerned because, especially me included, because I was hoping that we were not seeing the last of Daniel Bryan, especially after a very good run he had with WWE, the run he had with the World Heavyweight Championship, and he was really getting over the fans with this Yes movement, which I still love the Yes movement to this day, and I am still glad that the fans are so energetic when it comes to the Yes movement every time he's on the screen. I love the guy, no doubt. He's the greatest wrestler they have going on right now main event-wise, and they should keep it that way. I just hope at some point he does get a World Heavyweight Championship title run in the end, either if it's from Brock Lesnar or from Roman Reigns, whoever. As long as he gets the title back at some point, I really think he deserves that big time. Now, speaking of the authority that It's funny to say authority because of all the nonsense they've been causing for the entire summer and most of fall. So a very interesting stipulation they had at the Survivor Series was if the Authority had lost the match, they would be out of a job until John Cena had given the Authority back to TV, which it was a nice gift that we were able to be Authority free for quite some time. But the reason why they also lost the match was because of the debut of, should I say, that's gotta be Sting. Yes, Sting made his debut that we were all waiting for. It was a very epic one too, because he laid Triple H right down the middle of the ring and immediately cost the Authority the lose that they so rightfully deserved for the longest time possible. And I was so glad to see the end of the Authority because I was tired of Triple H's nonsense. The 25-minute talks of Stephanie McMahon, because every time she's on the mic, she talks and talks and talks and doesn't shut up. But anyway, without further ado, the Authority was unfortunately brought back after a month after the Christmas season because John Cena had given the final, okay, let's bring the Authority back because of Seth Rollins threatening to destroy Edge, who was the guest host that night. And I didn't want to see Edge being destroyed either, but John Cena felt he was doing the right thing by giving the Authority what they want, but Seth Rollins still gave him a nasty thing in the end by saying, I'm going to still crush his neck anyway. So he almost attempted to crush his neck, but then John Cena had put a stop to the whole thing, and thank God for that, because I don't want to see Edge paralyzed. So, after that being said and done, let's talk about Royal Rumble 2. The Royal Rumble match, it could have been a lot better than it was. My biggest problem with the Royal Rumble is, one, they threw Daniel Bryan out way too early. He was only in the ring for like, what, 15 minutes or so, and they just threw him out like it was just very easy to throw him out. Not only did it really piss off a lot of fans, including myself, but he could have made it to the Final Four, not being thrown out so early in the match. And it was, with them throwing him out so early in the match, it just made it seem like they didn't care too much about keeping the match longer than they should have. So that was a big no-no. The other no-no they had with this whole thing was the fact that the way they ended the whole thing with Roman Reigns towards the end, when he threw out Kane and the Big Show, the ref rang the bell, but it seemed very off though, like it wasn't the end of the match yet. But then after The Rock came out to try to save the crowd because they were booing the match so badly after Bryan had gotten thrown out, that wasn't really enough to save the crowd because they were still in heat after what had happened with Daniel Bryan. So after The Rock had came and helped out Roman Reigns, Rusev still was not eliminated from the Royal Rumble, and they just threw him out like it was like not even a hard thing at all. And to me, it was like, what has happened to this Rumble booking? There used to be so much drama back in 2007, like between Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker, and now it's like they're just doing nonsense. And to me, it's like, what happened to the old Royal Rumble days we all used to have? And I don't know, I just feel they could do the Royal Rumble a lot better than they have been doing it, but whatever, it's the writers for everybody, so what can we say? Now, the triple threat match that we got at the Royal Rumble, best match on the card, no doubt. I loved it, loved the way the whole thing was played out. Brock got a good beat in there thanks to Rollins, and Cena and Rollins had a good back and forth thing going on, and then Brock came back at the very end, destroyed Rollins threw Cena out of the match, and it was epic. Almost, it was like the best match on the card the entire night. On to the most recent Fastlane pay-per-view. Fastlane was actually better than I thought. This basically, it's his new replacement to Elimination Chamber, and I liked the concept better, how the way they did the whole show as opposed to I thought the way it would have been on writing or paper, just because I didn't see the whole point in Fastlane, but at least they did things differently this time, which is not have the title be on the line that night. Instead, they did a #1 contender match between Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan to try to ease off the crowd from being so mad at Roman Reigns, because ever since Reigns had won the Royal Rumble, fans have been booing him since then, and it's unfortunate for Roman because, with all due respect, he is a great competitor, he does deserve the main event spot and everything, and he is due for a title reign, but the problem was he never had any main event matches on pay-per-view, so I don't see how he should have gotten the spot, though. There were a lot of conflicting reports between Bryan and Roman winning the Rumble, but anyway, they did the number one contenders match at Fastlane to try to calm down the crowd. Bryan unfortunately wound up not getting the W, but it was a very good match though, and I think the feud had quite a good build-up right there too, so I think it was very well done build-up aimed for the pay-per-view itself, and overall the pay-per-view went a lot better than I expected. So, alright, now on to my favorite subject, which is the Divas division. Yes, I have to talk about it. So, going back to the Divas division, we left off with Brie slapping Stephanie McMahon after her a little arrogant behavior, but then Stephanie used the slap to her advantage to get revenge on Nikki Bella by putting her in handicap matches and trying to claim it was all Brie's fault for all of it, but Brie tried stepping up to her gun and telling her, no, you're doing this because I slapped you and you're taking it out on her. So the whole thing went back and forth with them two for a couple of weeks until Brie wound up trying to press the charges against Stephanie McMahon for having her arrested and all that stuff. So Brie had asked for her job back, and then from there Stephanie had said, you can have your job back. And from there on that point, Brie had told her, I'm going to embarrass you at Summerslam, and it was a very good feud. Although the thing that really threw me off big time was when Nikki Bella made her unfortunate heel turn on Brie Bella and claiming that, like, you quit the WWE and left me hanging, that was nasty of you, and then making nasty comments to her by saying, I wish I died in a womb, Brie, which is the most messed up thing you can ever say to your own twin and to your own flesh and blood. And as much as I hated this feud every single week, I still kept watching to see what was going to happen in the next minute between the Bella twins. But the whole thing wound up coming slowly to an end where at Hell in a Cell, Nikki had gotten the approval from Stephanie McMahon by having a match between the two, and the loser would be the winner's bitch for 30 days. So, on to Hell in a Cell, Nikki wound up getting the W on Brie Bella, which made her the assistant for 30 days. Then now the thing that doesn't make sense is, so Nikki was able to get a title shot with AJ Lee at the Survivor Series, and which wound up seeing a reconciliation between Brie and Nikki Bella for the Divas Championship, and they wound up reforming their twin brand. And I don't get why this happened because they never even explained why Brie went heel, so this whole thing doesn't make any sense until Brie comes out and explains the whole thing. Even at TLC, they were asking her, why did you do what you did? And Brie just answered on the question by saying, blood is thicker than water, which doesn't answer the question, but now we're seeing another feud, which is Paige and AJ Lee, where AJ and the Bellas went back and forth for some time, and then now Paige and the Bellas are going back and forth, and AJ actually just made her return recently this past Monday night, helping her, Paige, get attacked by Nikki Bella and Brie Bella, and then coming back for revenge after what they did to her a couple months ago. So, with that being said, after we saw them two team up so they can go against the Bella twins, now it will be set in stone that AJ and Paige will be fighting the Bella twins at WrestleMania. Now, on to my last but not least topic, the Total Divas. So at the end of season 2, we saw that Nikki's marriage got exposed to John Cena, and then they wound up working out their issues, but then Nikki had got her family pretty upset with her by lying about the entire thing, which she should have just told John from the very beginning, the whole thing and all that stuff, to prevent all this nonsense on the day of her wedding, which got Brie really upset. And then the mother got upset, JJ got upset, everyone got upset, but everything wound up working out later, and then Nikki apologized to everybody. But still, you should really be honest with somebody, not just lie. But at the beginning of season 3, we see Brie trying to discuss with Nikki about freezing her eggs because John was, in a way, showing a side of change to Nikki Bella by telling her if we got married, would that be enough? And Nikki was unsure of it because she wasn't sure if she could just settle on marriage but without kids. So Brie had told her, like, well, I think we should freeze your eggs this way in case if things don't ever work out, you can still have kids when you're 40 years old, but with your 30-year-old eggs. But then later on, Nikki wound up confessing to John that she was freezing her eggs because she left her stuff out in the open for John to see. So, after John had found out that she was trying to freeze her eggs, he let her know he was upset about the whole thing and afraid of losing Nikki Bella. And from there, she changed her whole mind just to please John. So she goes and consults with Brie about the whole thing, and Brie was telling her, no, I'm seeing the same selfish side of John where whenever things are getting a little altered in his life, he'll do something to talk you out of it. And this is something you have your heart set on as a backup plan in case it does not work out. But then later on in season 3, that she was still going back to sacrificing marriage and kids for John, Brie got upset with this whole thing, and she felt she had to go confront John, which only led to explosive consequences between her and Nikki, where John wound up letting her go, and then Brie and all of them were picking up the pieces for her being, sad and everything. But Brie wound up confessing to Nikki that they talked to John, which led to a very explosive scene between everyone in the Bella family, which they wound up working out their issues on season 3. But my take on the whole thing is Brie's heart was in the right place, but it was not her business to get involved with Nikki's relationship with John and everything. You can be upset about it, but as far as my take on it is concerned, Nikki, if he's not going to give you marriage and kids, you may want to move on to somebody that's going to give you that. He may make you happy and all that, but the thing is, if your heart is set on marriage and kids, then maybe you got to reconsider things. But it's not in my business to get involved with your little relationship, so it is what it is at that point. But meanwhile, in season 3, we also got the breakup of the Funkadactyls. We also got the wedding of Eva Marie, and we also saw some dissension between Natty and TJ. Although Natty and TJ are finally working out their issues, but now Eva and Jonathan seem to be having some marriage problems where that Eva felt she wasn't going to be a good mother, so she was giving up kids, and which got Jonathan really upset. And then she also faced another health issue, which could have led to her being destroyed with her life in WWE if she kept wrestling with unfortunate breast implant issues. And then Jonathan went behind her back and talked to her boss about the whole thing, which led to a big argument between them two. And Naomi got upset with Cameron because she wanted to go back down to NXT because she felt she was going to be on the back burner while Naomi was getting her push, and that led to a dissension between the both of them. And we saw a lot less of Summer Rae in season 3, which in a way I was very glad about it because I didn't care for Summer Rae after her little two-faced drama and all that stuff. But some new faces we do have to season 3 is Rosa Mendes, Alicia Fox, which I love, and Paige. Ever since all 3 of them had came on, the show has been excellent. I really like watching this season's Total Divas, and it's enjoyable to watch. And we got some little bit of arguing between Paige and Rosa and Alicia Fox over some little stuff and everything like that. But hey, everybody has a fight here and there, so that's what life's all about. So, to conclude everything, I want to say thank you for everyone for joining me on tonight's show. It's great to make a return, and I hope to see you all next week and to hear me and my buddies' WrestleMania predictions and our reactions after WrestleMania. So stay tuned for another fantastic episode of the WWE Talk.